what the outcome of all this should be. And I have outlined that already, and for 50 years. So I won't rehearse it if you don't mind. The most likely outcome, and we'll hear from Scott Ritter in literally a minute, the most likely outcome is that Israel will slay an uncountable number of thousands of Palestinians, almost all of them civilians, and at least half of them women and children. I can say that confidently because half of the people who live in Gaza are children.
Galloway is, perfectly correct, right? These people are cowards, right? See, Hamas did what they did to draw them into a fight. And George Galloway explains it, so eloquently that they're not going to fight. They don't. People like the Americans and the Israelis, this racist, fascist, Nazi cabal, they don't want to fight straight up. You notice what they do, right? They went into Ukraine and then got Ukraine to try to, use the Ukrainians as cannon fodder to go at the Russians, right? Instead of going directly at the Russians. Why? Because they know they would be destroyed, right? And then, so they do the same thing. It's the same playbook in Palestine, right? Incite violence amongst the Palestinians, right? And then try to draw people in and, and attack. And instead of, going at the fighters straight up, right? And fighting a ground war, they use jets on people that don't have jets, right? They'll attack like people that don't have the capability to really strike back in a significant way. Like they'll go at maybe the Lebanese or the Syrians here and there, right? But they'll totally decimate and carpet bomb refugee camps, basically, right? They'll go into refugee reservations and carpet bomb the reservations, or the refugee camps in this case, right? And attack women and children and then complain, right? Which they've been doing that all along. They've been killing, unarmed people. They killed, I think prior to this whole thing kicking off, they killed like 800 people. The IDF had killed like 800 people just on the streets. Sometimes like just walk, people just arguing, throwing rocks, whatever, right? They had killed like 800 people. I mean, these people go around spitting on people, right? Like if they see you on the street, they'll spit on you. The kind of thing they used to do to like black people in America back in the 50s, right? White people would spit on you. This is what these ish people do to people, right? Christians, Arabs, whatever, they'll spit on you, right? I mean, so you had to deal with all kinds of disrespect and just racist treatment from these people, from these Nazis, these Zion Nazis, right? And what the whole thing is, they want to incite violence. See, that's what Martin Luther King knew about them, right? They want to incite violence. Why? So they can commit a genocide on you and make a fake reason for doing it. But that's what's going to cause World War III. They're going to try to genocide these people. It's 2 million people. It's I believe 6 million Arabs in Palestine, Israel. They're going to try to wipe them out, and they're going to start with the ones in the 2 million that's in the Gaza Strip, right? And people like Joe Biden gave them the green light to do it. Why? Because he's Jim Crow Joe, a nasty, white, racist Nazi man from America, right? A KKK, Jim Crow, apartheid state America, right? Agent, right? He gave them the green light. Why? Because they non-white people. You see? So he said, well, yeah, you can genocide them. We wanted to do the same thing to the nigger in America. You see, and that's another thing. Like if you a so-called black person and you support that, yeah, I mean, like, not that I got a dog in that fight, whatever, right? Like, but if Jim Crow Joe and this and them horrible Zio Nazis over there, if they would allow them to genocide that population of non-white people, what do you think they think about you? I'm just saying, right? Like, how dumb can you be? If 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 Jim Crow Joe and all these white people in America and all these Indians in America, right, and all these other people in America would support them genociding a group of Arabs and probably some black people in Gaza Strip, I don't know, right? If the so-called non-white group of people, right? If Jim Crow Joe, all these white people, good white people in America, and everybody would sign off with them committing a genocide against 2 million people, right, in a refugee camp, right? What do you think they would do to you? You think they really your friends? You think they really you think Joe Biden is really your friend? You think all these black politicians that allow them to do that and whipping out Israeli flags to help them genocide a bunch of Arabs, right? Because they non-white, they racist, right? What do you think they would do to you? I mean, it's just a thought, right? You think they really like you? They're your friends? No. All they need is a good reason. All they need is a good fake a reason that a reason that they can put on, put up as positive optics, as an excuse to do whatever they want to do to you. Not that they need it. They don't need an excuse, but they want to they want to draw you out to do something, and like they did with the Palestinians, right? Just keep fucking you over until you push back, and then when you push back and the shit get out of hand, well, they said, well, see, these people are savages. These are they calling these people animals, savages. That's what is a nigger, right? I might play a clip of these. Let me play a clip of that. Hold on, stand by.
Presented Israeli response against these bloodthirsty animals that have come across from Gaza and attacked our civilians.
You say.
So when these people say, they start using terms like, oh, all these people are animals, right? And whatever. That's what they call black people. These are you subhuman. A nigger is a subhuman animal, right? Subhuman creature, animal, right? And so when they start using all these terms or whatever, these terrorists, these subhuman animals, right? These people are less than human or whatever, right? Then start carpet bombing, refugee camps, right? What are they doing? Well, they're dehumanizing people and setting them up, right? They're setting this whole thing up to genocide these people. Right? Mind you, these people are walking around spitting on people, right? Stealing their land, shooting them, and spitting on them. What the fuck did you think was gonna happen? Would be my response. Right? After like 50 years of that kind of thing. What did you think was gonna happen? Nothing? Well, you knew something was going to happen. That's why you got nuclear weapons in Israel. You got nukes, tanks, all of the American hardware. That shit is just a Nazi outpost. Israel is, let's just be honest, is nothing more than a Nazi outpost, right? To subdue North Africa. Today, they bombed some Egyptian trucks. Yeah, that's right. So some Egyptians a government was bringing trucks across the border to bring some relief supplies, And when they told the Israelis, they hit the trucks with missiles, right? And told them, you are not allowed to send supplies, relief supplies to the Gazans. We will bomb any vehicles that you send. Mind you, I think the Egyptians are supposed to be their allies. And then they put out a statement they would kill all the hostages just to get to Hamas. Like, they didn't care. They was gonna, and they're gonna commit a genocide. And it's Hamas. I believe Hamas said, well, look, if you don't stop bombing, blah blah blah, we're gonna kill the hostages. They said, we don't care. Kill the hostages. What's interesting is nobody said anything about that in the news, right? No one on the news said anything about the fact that these people, they called these people animals. They said, well, Palestinians, Arabs are animals, basically they're a bunch of niggers. We're going to kill all of them, right? And we're even going to kill our own people. And nobody said anything about it, right? All these people crying about, oh my God, Hamas has committed all these atrocities against these poor, defenseless Israelis. Nobody said anything about the fact that their own government, the president, the sinister prime minister, right, came out and said he was going to kill all his own people that was held hostage. He didn't care about that. Doesn't that tell you what type of man he is? Does that tell you what type of... Go listen to it. I'm not putting words in his mouth. Go listen to what he said. He said, we don't care. That's not going to stop anything. You can kill all the hostages. We're not concerned with that. And then they did an airstrike that killed some Hamas soldiers and 4 IDF soldiers they were holding hostage. So he meant what he said. Fox News, ABC News, NBC News, CNN, nobody said, that's fucked up. You're going to kill, it's 100 hostages in there of your own people, and you're going to kill them too? And you're complaining about Hamas? Really? I don't get that. Right? I don't get it. How could you complain about Hamas? You just, you know what I mean? If they bad, you're just as bad. Hamas doesn't care about civilians, but then you kill your own civilian. You say, well, we're gonna kill our own civilians. Okay, well, you don't care about them either. You're just using people as an excuse to fit your agenda, right? You're bringing these settlers in and stealing land next to refugee camps, hoping that something happens. Do you give a fuck about those settlers? Not at all. You're hoping they get into a conflict so that you could just use them as an excuse to commit genocide against everybody and anybody that get in your way. These people are genocidal maniacs. They're racist, Nazi, genocidal maniacs. And the fact that they said that they were willing to kill their own hostages, right? They were willing to kill Israeli citizens held as hostages by a so-called terrorist group. The question is, who's the real terrorist? You understand? And then my thing is, so you mean to tell me none of these people, parents, are on TV? Nobody is interviewing these people, say, hey, listen, don't kill my family members. Can y'all stop the bombing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody in the United States that supports Israel. It may even be American citizens in there. They said we send in troops to help because they have American citizens. Well, the Israelis said they're going to kill them. You know what I mean? Before Hamas could kill them, the Israelis said, well, we're going to kill them because we're going to try to kill all these, we're going to genocide these Arabs in the Gaza Strip. And we don't give a fuck who's there. And yeah, you said you're going to save people. You're not going to stop them? You're not going to try to stop them? The world is watching, right? So if they're going to commit this type of a war crime and this type of genocide, right? It proves the Hamas leader. It proves his point. What he said. He said we had to speak to these people in a language they understand. And then they proceed to kill their own Israeli citizens. Then that means he was right what he said. That he said we don't want to do this, but these people are crazy, so we have to speak to them in crazy language. These people are fucking insane, right? Anybody that, willing to kill their own people, right, to get to you. I mean, the level of insanity that, you know what I mean? The level of wickedness and evil, right? There's a difference between self-defense, right? Security, self-defense, and genocide. Right? Stand by. I got some more.
Will say enough is enough. Even we can't stomach the slaughter that you have perpetrated, and it's time to bring this fighting to a halt, and the cycle will begin all over again until the next time. Now, the only hope for this outcome not to go that way is if Hezbollah gets involved in a major way and breaks the paradigm. And if Hezbollah is backed by Syria and Syria is backed by Iran, and then we will see the strategic defeat of Israel. We may see the end of Benjamin Netanyahu physically or politically. And whatever replaces him in Israel will be somebody who is compelled by this defeat to seek peace in a way that's equitable for the Palestinian people.
Exactly. Scott Ritter was right, the weapons inspector from Iraq, right? There's only one way out of this cycle, right? Either they're gonna genocide the whole Arab population pretty much inside of Israel, Palestine, right? Or the fight goes into where you get Hezbollah and different groups jump in and they strategically defeat the Israelis. Well, if that happens, then it's World War III. You see what I'm saying? Because the Hezbollah is backed by Iran, Lebanon and Iran, right? And then you got Syria, right? And then you have a Russian base in Syria, a Russian naval base in Syria. So then it's World War III, right? And so it's only two options. They're gonna genocide the Palestinians, right? The Arabs there. Or the Lebanese are gonna jump in. Because they said well, the Americans and NATO may try to stop them, may step in, and he said, well, that's enough. So that's the only two options. They're gonna damn near genocide 6 million people. Or, and before it gets to that, and they're gonna let them. They're gonna watch them and let them do it. Or, you're gonna get groups like Hezbollah and the Syrians and the Iranians step in and say, nah, we're gonna put a stop to it. And of course, at that point it's World War III. You see? Because they will, like he said, they will suffer a strategic defeat. It will be no more Israel after that. You know what I mean? Not as it currently exists. They'll have to make, and like he said, they'll have to make a deal, right? They'll have to make a deal. Personally, I think, I'm a rap, but, I agree with Scott Ritter, right? If there is not a strategic defeat of Israel and they force, whatever's left of the so-called state of Israel is left to make an equitable deal, right? It's either that or, World War III, right? It's kind of the only option. So and we're kind of have to wait to see how that plays out, because it looked like, you know, nobody's crazy. Only people crazy are them. You see, they people don't really. Hezbollah don't want that shit. The Lebanese don't want it. The Syrians don't want it. Nobody wants it, right? But it looks like the question is, are they going to force people's hand? You see, but they want it. They want an excuse to go after the people in that region that don't like them and what they're doing. That won't, capitulate 100%. So they want an excuse to go after, the using the Palestinians. They want an excuse to go after the Syrians, to go after the Lebanese, right? To go after the Iranians. The problem with that is it's going to cause their demise. It may cause the demise of everybody. I mean, oil is going to go to like $200 a barrel if they get to fighting with the Iranians. It's one thing as Hezbollah gets in it, and then the Syrians, and then the Iranians. I mean, they're gonna start, obviously hitting up shit. You may have nuclear strikes. You know what I mean? They may try to nuclear strike Iran with some tactical nukes. They may sink an aircraft carrier. The Iranians are definitely gonna target all U.S. assets in that area. They'll probably hit an aircraft carrier, sink that shit. You know what I mean? They'll probably hit all U.S. bases in Syria, in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia might get drawn in. So it's going to be World War III. And, so yeah. I mean, so yeah, and Palestine may be, this may be the tipping point for that. I personally think it is. There's some remote viewers. I think I posted a link, and they said that they saw an event that changed the world. And at first, I didn't think it was this event. I was like, nah, this ain't it. And I kind of still don't think it. I'm not 100% convinced, but if the fighting spreads, like to Lebanon, to the Lebanese border, opens up as a front, and possibly the Syrian border opens up as a front, and the Egyptians flip on them, then I would say, yeah, this is a world-changing event, because it won't be long after that till, Iran joins the fighting, right? And then when that happens, then that's it, because very possibly then that, you're going to get nukes going off everywhere. And then it becomes not just a Middle East problem, it becomes an everybody problem. Why? Because, you got people like North Korea and Russia. You see? And you got a lot of wild cards where, the Iranians, and the Syrians are allied with the Russians. You see? So it's very likely you could get nuclear strikes in Israel. You could get a nuclear strike in the United States, start getting struck, right? Like, this could spiral very quickly out of control. You know what I mean? And at that point, all bets is off. Like, at that point, you will have a world-changing event where the world will never be the same. If they just genocide Palestinians and nobody steps in, if they, genocide, it's 6 million people that Arabs, non-white Arabs in that area, in that Palestine Israel area. If they genocide, I don't know, for, anywhere from 2 to 6 million people, and nobody does anything, it will be horrifying to watch in 2023, but will it change the world? I doubt it. You know what I mean? I doubt it. If the other factions start to get in, will it change the world? Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, and so that's the key right there. The key is You know, because they did genocided people. They genocided 1 million people in Iraq. Nobody did anything. They genocided 1 million. See, the Iraq thing is interesting, right? They killed over 1 million people in Iraq, Americans, which is a genocide, right? It's equivalent to like ethnic cleansing, genocide. You kill 1 million people. Nobody said anything. The Iraqis had nothing to do with 9/11. So it shows what? These people don't need an excuse. The Israelis didn't need an excuse. They were already doing what they were doing. You know what I mean? These people don't need an excuse to kill a 1 million people or a few million people. And so it won't change the world, and maybe it'll wake a few people up, to the type of people that they're around and that they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like, the level of bloodshed and destruction will start to expose them for the type of people that they are. And so, but they may not say anything, so it's not going to change the world, right? But if we at the point where people watching the other factions watching that, them other countries get in, then that will change the world. But anyway, that's all I got. But I'm going to leave you with this. I got one more thing. I'm going to leave you with this.
Are taking seriously a recent upsurge in spitting and hitting attacks on clergy and the vandalism of Christian sites.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they've been repeatedly assaulted. So how are Christian leaders responding? CBN's Julie Stahl brings us the story from Jerusalem.
The situation led Israeli President Isaac Herzog and Police Commissioner Yaakov Shabtai to meet leaders of the Orthodox and Catholic churches of the Holy Land.
In recent months, we've seen very serious phenomena towards the Christian denominations in the Holy Land. Our brothers and sisters, Christian citizens, feel attacked in their places of prayer, in their cemeteries and on the streets.
Christians in Jerusalem's Old City say they are often harassed, spit on, and even physically attacked by religious Jewish youth.
I view this phenomenon as extreme and unacceptable in any shape or form. This phenomenon needs to be uprooted.
Earlier incidents include the desecration of a Protestant cemetery on Mount Zion, an attack on international Christians during a day of prayer for Jerusalem, and harassment at a Messianic concert in Jerusalem.